Have you ever noticed how two people can earn almost the same salary, live in the same city, work similar jobs, and yet 10 years later, one owns assets and investments while the other is still just managing bills? It's uncomfortable to admit, but wealth doesn't grow at the same speed for everyone, and it's not always about intelligence or work ethic. Sometimes it's timing, sometimes it's structure, sometimes it's starting position. And if you don't understand that clearly, you end up blaming yourself for math that was never in your favor. I'm Liam, and if you enjoy calm, rational breakdowns about money and real-life decisions, consider subscribing. Now, let's talk about the part no one likes to say out loud. Let's take a simple scenario. You're 27 years old. You live in Chicago, or maybe Manchester, or Berlin. You earn $70,000 a year, or 55,000 euros. After tax, maybe you take home around $4,200 per month. That sounds decent, middle class, comfortable even. But let's look at the reality. Rent in a mid-tier city apartment, $1,700. Utilities and internet, $250. Car payment or transportation, $450. Insurance, $180. Groceries, $500. Student loan payment, $400. Phone and subscriptions, $150. A few dinners out, birthdays, weddings, short trips, $400. You're already at around $4,030. That leaves maybe $170, not for investing, for unexpected things. Now, compare that to someone else earning $70,000, but they live with a partner splitting rent, or their parents helped with a down payment, or they graduated debt-free, or they started investing at 22 instead of 27. They might have $1,000 a month left to invest. Same income, different acceleration. That's the uncomfortable truth. Wealth building is not just about income. It's surplus multiplied by time. If person A invests $1,000 a month at 8% starting at 25, by 45, they could have around $590,000. If person B invests $300 per month starting at 30, by 45, they may have around $140,000. Not because they were lazy, because their starting position was different. 5 years and $700 of monthly surplus changes everything. Compounding is not emotional. It does not care about fairness. And here's the part people rarely say. Some people build wealth faster because they began with structural advantages. Parents who paid for college, a home they could live in rent-free for 3 years, a network that led to a higher-paying first job, growing up in a stable two-income household. This isn't about blame, it's about math. If you start investing at 22 instead of 30, that alone can double your long-term results, even if you invest less. Timing beats intensity. But here's where it becomes psychological. Most people don't account for their actual starting position. Instead, they compare lifestyles. They see someone their age buying property, investing heavily, traveling, posting about ETFs and passive income, and they assume I must be doing something wrong. So they stretch, they finance a newer car, they upgrade apartments earlier than necessary, they keep up socially, not because they're irrational, because status pressure is powerful. Humans are wired to compare. In Europe and the US, social media amplifies that pressure constantly, and when you're already operating with thin margins, lifestyle inflation becomes the silent wealth killer. Let's examine the hidden financial mistake. It's not coffee. It's not avocado toast. It's misjudging your runway. If your monthly surplus is $200 and you increase your lifestyle by $300, that $100 gap doesn't feel catastrophic. You just reduce savings. But over 10 years, that's $12,000 not invested. At 8%, that's closer to $17,000 to $20,000 in opportunity cost. Multiply that by several decisions, car, apartment, vacations. Now you're looking at $80,000 to $150,000 difference by your early 40s, not because of irresponsibility, because of small structural pressure combined with compounding math. Now, here's the second uncomfortable truth. Some people didn't outperform you. They simply avoided friction earlier. No student loans means investing from 23 instead of 31. Living at home for 2 years after graduation might mean a $40,000 head start. Having parents who explained investing early reduces expensive trial and error years. Wealth growth is smoother when the early years are clean. If your early 20s were financially chaotic, your compounding curve starts later. That delay is invisible but powerful. So what happens long-term if you ignore this reality? You stay in comparison mode. You feel behind. You try to accelerate artificially. You take on higher-risk investments. You chase trends. You increase lifestyle prematurely because it's time. And ironically, that slows you down more. Financial stress increases cortisol. Scarcity mindset narrows decision-making. You focus on short-term relief instead of long-term positioning. That's how middle-class earners get stuck in a loop for 15 years, not poor, not wealthy, just stable and slowly drifting. Now, let's shift perspective. How do financially intelligent people think differently? They don't ask, why am I not where they are? They ask, what is my actual starting line? They calculate, what is my true monthly surplus? What is my debt timeline? When does my margin expand? They understand that wealth building has phases. Phase 1 isn't investing aggressively. Phase 1 is cleaning friction, eliminating high-interest debt, stabilizing expenses, avoiding lifestyle inflation during income growth. They treat early career like runway extension, not lifestyle celebration. They also understand this. If someone else had a 5-year head start, you don't beat them by copying their current lifestyle. You beat them by protecting your margin. Maybe that means driving a reliable older car longer. Maybe that means living slightly below what your peers consider normal. Maybe that means investing quietly instead of visibly. It's not glamorous, but it compounds. And here's something else rarely said. In the US and Europe, the biggest wealth accelerators are often boring. Employer retirement matches, consistent index investing, avoiding high-interest consumer debt, buying property at a reasonable price instead of stretching for status. None of that feels dramatic, but over 20 years, it separates stability from stress. The goal isn't to feel behind, it's to understand positioning. If you're 28 with $20,000 in student loans and $5,000 invested, that is not failure. That is data. If your surplus is $300 per month today, and you increase it to $800 over 5 years through skill growth and discipline, that slope matters more than comparing to someone with family wealth. Wealth is not a race across the same track. It's individual compounding curves starting at different points. So the uncomfortable truth, some people build wealth faster because they started earlier, cleaner, or with support. But long-term wealth still belongs to those who understand their numbers, protect their surplus, and let time work without interruption. You cannot change your starting point, but you can stop misjudging it. And when you stop comparing timelines, you make calmer decisions. Calm decisions compound better. If this helped you see your financial position more clearly, consider subscribing. No hype, just clarity.